Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Relax the body, enjoy the breath, quieten the mind. Rewind to September 18th, 2023. We commenced this semester on this morning. 50 mornings later. How are you? Who are you? Rewind to March 19th, 2020. We commenced this offering that morning. Flow through all of the hardships humanity, society, community, family, you as an individuality went through. From then to 1100 mornings later, which puts us at now. How are you? Who are you? Once you were filled with laziness. And so what came out of us? Pidaya. We harmed ourselves and so harmed others. We grew, not outside but inside, to being filled with aggressiveness. We stopped harming others, but we were still harming ourselves. We continued to evolve to be filled with quietness. We felt the futility of harming, and we healed ourselves. And through our own healing, we have healed others. Feeling less dejected, anxious, stressed. Inhale deeply through your nose. As you exhale, smile. our map, the Bhagavad Gita, our chapter. Let me change that word to our ideal, chapter 17. The technical word for this chapter is Shraddha. Shraddha means faith, but Sri Krishna wants us to have a particular faith, which is a sattvic Shraddha. To have lots of faith. Why? Because faith pervades all that we do, all that we are. If this is lots, we will be closer to feeling Brahman, which in English means bigness. When one starts to feel lots, they will also know that this power that is coming through them is not theirs, but rather is God's power. So one does become more powerful, but this is combined with humility. This is the beauty of the word Vinayaka, the humble leader. For those who are growing through laziness to aggressiveness to quietness, the statement I've made many times that willpower is more powerful than world power, you have affirmed this for yourself. Shri Krishna is helping us to feel how meaningful faith is in giving us a classification of faith in terms of association, that is ahara, dedication, that is yajna, renunciation, that is tapa, and contribution, that is dana. In verse 20, Shri Krishna shared the one who has lots of faith, when they practice contribution, they do this unconditionally. I'm going to read to you an email with full transparency. He may not want me to read this email, but he'll be all right with this. Thanks to Vivekji for the highest vocation and meaningful mornings. It has been transformative. Love, love, love my new job. And the financial compensation just seems like a bonus. Giving it back to whence it came. At his feet, Naveen. It makes me very fulfilled when people practice what Sri Krishna is theorizing. In verse 21, it is those who have less faith and they practice contribution with conditions. Yattu pratyupakarartham phalam uddishya va punaha. When one is practicing contribution, this condition is coming from within and expressing without. That condition is likes. And another word for this, comfort. They practice contribution in a comfortable way. And the implication of this is one doesn't change that. Our map is to evolve from individuality to divinity. Comfort keeps us as an individuality. Shri Krishna completes this final classification of this chapter with what it means to practice contribution from unconditional to conditional to not. Verse 22. Adesha kale yaddanam apatrebhyascha dhiyate asatkritam avagnatam tattamasamudahritam. Joy. Quarter 1. Yat danam. That contribution. Now what is it being qualified by? Adesha. Wrong space. Akala. Wrong time. Here the wrongness, what this feels like, is one who dislikes contributing in any space, in any time. So here the most accurate word is not wrong or dislike, but not. That contribution in no space, in no time. Here I don't mean in no time in a good way. English is so confusing. Next, diyate. It is similar to danam. This giving, which is a not giving, apatra. This is not about space and time, but apatra or apatre, which is referring to the cause, referring to the person. What this plays out like for us is when privileged people give to privileged people. Yes? If you just read this in a Google search or just read this in a commentary, you 100% feel this doesn't apply to you. But if you reflect, which is another way of personalizing, which is why people don't like meaningful mornings. It is privileged people giving to privileged people, which only creates a cycle of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that's why I even gave you specifics of 20% to your family, 20% to your community. But our compromise is we pull it out of community and put it into family. That's the privileged giving to the privileged. That's not contribution. And if you want to take this to a more extreme level, it is when you contribute to those who are vicious. What do they do with that further resource? Create more viciousness. My mind goes to making guns more accessible. Isn't that a form of not contributing? Creates the opposite effect. Asatkritam means contributing without respect. Avagnatam, it is contributing, not respecting is one matter, but contributing with insult. Yesterday, for all of those who were with me in Connecticut, I shared a story about how great Bhishma, this Prince Arjuna's older brother, is when it comes to dana. But they all wanted to hear a story about Karna, which is their even older brother. So I will tell you that story now. Once Karna had completed training and his body was hurting a lot. And so he was sitting in the sun and he was massaging himself. And a bhikshu, someone who needed food, funds, someone who's not privileged, came to him and said, Bhiksham dehi. Share your privilege. And immediately, Karna picked up that bowl containing the oil, and it was a fancy bowl. He's a prince. And he gave it to this bhikshu with his left hand. And that bhikshu received it and felt very happy and simply made a remark that in our culture, we give with our right hand to remind us of rightness. And Karna shared, please forgive me, O needy one, but I gave to you with my left because by the time I would have transferred it to my right, I would have changed my mind. And I didn't want that to happen. So I just gave. So this idea of not giving is insulting. Shri Krishna finishes, Udahritam, what I'm telling you, tat tamasam, this is all one who's filled with darkness, laziness, one who has forgotten God. The 4 signs of forgetting God: doership, desire, jealousy, worry. I shared that last week. For the one who's filled with darkness, they don't see that they've forgotten God. For the one who's filled with laziness, which is similar, even if they see it, they don't change it. But for a seeker, they're vigilant not to ever forget God. And if they do, they catch themselves and start to grow up. The final verses in this chapter is awesome. And as we are led into this finality of chapter 17, emphasizing vigilance, emphasizing this amazing morning, our 1100th morning together, the one who's growing up, who's becoming more vigilant, they are generous because they know all that has come into their life is not theirs. It's from Him, through us, to Him. From inspiration to application. Someone had asked me recently, when I chant Om, do I cough on purpose? Some people are so innocent. It's because I smoke. I told her, it's because I smoke so many cigarettes. That's why. I need to stop. From inspiration to application, your application was to reflect on, if large-hearted, then little needs. How many of you reflected on this? The more large-hearted you become, the less needy you become. Sharing this in one more way. The more large-hearted you become, the more light-footed you become, particularly light carbon-footed. I find people who are enemies of the environment tend to be small-hearted. And those who are large-hearted, they're children of the environment. Your application for this morning, out of the classifications of yajna, tapa, dana, that is dedication, renunciation, and now contribution, which one has been most revealing to you? Which one have you learned the most from? Shanti, shanti, shantihi. Be joy.